For as long as I can remember, the house next door had been empty. Overgrown grass, peeling paint, and boarded windows made it a forgotten blemish on our otherwise neat and quiet suburban street. But one morning, everything changed. A sleek, black moving truck parked outside. Men in uniforms carried in boxes. By evening, the house looked as though it had never been abandoned. Curtains framed the windows. Lights flickered inside. The lawn had been trimmed, as if time had finally resumed for that forgotten place. I watched from my bedroom window, curious and uneasy. The new neighbor was ... pale man with stark white hair and the strangest gaiety steps, deliberate, measured, too smooth. He never blinked, never smiled, wore the same grey suit every single day. The first time I waved at him, he didn't respond. He just stared back, eyes unblinking, head tilted slightly as if analyzing me. It gave me chills, like a deer watching a hunter, but unsure if it should flee or fight. I forced a smile and backed into my house. At night, strange sounds began emanating from his home, low mechanical hums, metallic clanking, the occasional high-pitched whine. Once, I heard something like a child giggling, but it was distorted and echoed like it came from the bottom of a well. Our mail carrier, Mrs. Granger, said she tried to deliver a package to him once. She knocked, a door opened on its own. She swears she never saw him, but the package disappeared from her hands without her realizing it. Since then, she leaves his mail at the base of his porch and walks away briskly. One day, I decided to introduce myself formally. Maybe he was just eccentric. Maybe he had some condition. I baked cookies, like my mom taught me when new neighbors moved in. As I approached, I noticed something odd. No birds perched on the trees near his house. The air felt heavier. Still, I knocked. The door creaked open a few inches. I called out, "Hello?" No answer. Just as I turned to leave, a voice spoke behind me. "You shouldn't be here." It was him right behind me, though I hadn't heard a single step. He looked down at the plate in my hands. "Are those for me?" he asked. His voice was wrong, too deep, too calm, like someone trying to mimic human speech. "Yes," I said, my hands trembling. "Just a welcome gift." He took them, sniffed once, then blinked his first blink since he arrived. "I don't eat." Then he closed the door. That night, I couldn't sleep. The hums were louder, now accompanied by strange flashes of blue light behind his windows. I finally drifted off near 3 a.m., only to wake an hour later to see him standing on his lawn, facing my window, perfectly still, just watching. I told my parents, but they brushed it off. "Maybe he's just an insomniac," Dad said. "People are weird sometimes," but it got worse. I began finding things on my porch, unfamiliar objects. A small metallic cube that vibrated when touched, a strip of some translucent material that changed color depending on the light, and once, a photograph of my family, taken from inside our home. I confronted him the next day, demanded to know why he was leaving things at my door. He tilted his head, like before, and said, "I am learning." "Learning what?" I told him to stay away. I threatened to call the police. He didn't respond, just closed the door again. That night, I heard footsteps on our roof, then tapping on my window, 3 slow taps. When I pulled the curtains open, no one was there. I called the police the next day. They investigated, knocked on his door, even entered with probable cause due to my report. But within minutes, they returned to their car and left without a word. One officer whispered to the other, "Don't file it, just leave it." I asked them what they found. They ignored me. That's when I started documenting everything: photos, recordings, notes. I created a file, just in case something happened. One night, I decided to get answers. I sneaked into his backyard. The windows were covered from the inside with a dark film, but I found one small slit in the basement window. What I saw chilled me to my core. Inside, a table with human-like limbs arranged like tools. Something that looked like a human heart pulsing inside a glass tube. Screens showing various rooms in neighborhood homes. He wasn't human. I stumbled back, stepped on a twig, and ran. Lights in his house flickered on, and the door creaked open, but I didn't look back. The next morning, everything in his house was gone. Furniture, curtains, even the front door, as if no one had ever lived there. I tried to tell people, showed them my notes, the photos, but my phone had been wiped clean, my written notes, torn and watered out. My parents said I must have imagined it all, but I know what I saw. Last week, I received a package, no return address. Inside was a single cookie, one of the ones I had, baked, and a note that said, "You tasted different." Since then, I hear the hums again. He's not gone. He's watching, maybe from somewhere else, maybe from right next door again. But he's learning, he's waiting, and he'll be back. Until next time, stay safe.